Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fast Guard News. I'm Dwight Gibson,
I'm Roderick Payne.
and today we want to talk to you, about security.
A part of security, at least.
Well, bodyguarding to be specific. So we've been getting a lot of calls lately regarding bodyguard service and people wanting a like an executive protection style guard at their homes and with them at all times. So what are some things that a person should look for when hiring a bodyguard?
Well, let's talk about what people do when they do hire a bodyguard, right? Like we've gotten some wild calls. Like some of the calls be like, we can't tell you who the person is until you get here, and then some of the calls are like, just come here and we'll explain to you what we're doing. Probably the weirdest one is and I was still a police officer during this time. Got a call. Me and another police officer went with me. About a third police officer be the driver, and we went and picked up this client that wanted to go. When we walked into the room, she was completely naked. She said that you guys are gonna walk with me tonight. I hired paparazzi to come take pictures of me at the restaurant. I want you to carry me into the restaurant like a baby. Carry me out of the restaurant. In the middle of the meal, I'm gonna say this food is terrible. And the paparazzi is going to come in and all this stuff is going to cause a big commotion. I'm going to give you the money to pay for everything that I'm doing. I'm going to break glass. I'm going to walk out. One of you guys, I'll go ahead and tip the manager, the whole nine. And I was like, what would be the possible reason you would? She was butt naked explaining this all to us. Then, we ended up going out with her. She did everything she said she was going to do. I carried her out the door, got her to the car. She wanted to ride around Miami.
Was she naked doing all this?
No. She had on clothes at that point. But when she was breaking down the job, she was completely naked talking. There was three of us up there talking like she had clothes on and like putting on makeup and all this stuff. And we didn't know who she was. And, of course, we're not going to disclose who she was. But it was weird what she was asking for. And so part of like doing bodyguard is you got to have, I guess, a cool, calm demeanor. You can't really react to anything. She asked us to she was gonna yell at us and say this food is terrible, and she might break a glass in front of us on the floor, which is kind of disrespectful. So she wanted to talk to somebody in any type of way that she felt that she could talk to somebody to gain as much attention as possible. It was a big restaurant in Miami Beach, and that was like the part of the reason I don't do a whole lot of bodyguard details because she went out and she wanted to go some weird places. She wanted to go to swingers club. We had to take her all around town, and that's the request. So if you're going to be a bodyguard, I think that your temperament and your mindset needs to be kind of open. You're going basically where somebody else is going. Most common people go to dinner, go out on a date. They might be going to an event. I've done basketball games with people, football games. But for the most part, I think people get it for the look. It's not, but on rare occasions. Like, you remember when people kept getting robbed doing this Facebook marketplace things? We would get called all the time for that in places like L.A., Chicago, New York. And, I would tell people at a certain point, like, why don't you just go? You don't want to pay for a security guard service. Why don't you just go to the police department and meet people there? And then a lot of departments started doing that because I couldn't think of why you would meet somebody that liked a picture of some item you have for thousands of dollars, and then they're going to meet you somewhere undisclosed, and
And pay you in cash.
Yeah, he'll pay you in cash. Man, you asking to get robbed. So you gotta really look at that type of stuff and just really understand the safety that goes into it. We get calls. For people, a lady called today. I put her information in the chat. I picked up and spoke to her, and she said, I need a bodyguard. I was like, well, why do you feel that you need a bodyguard? Well, I feel I need a bodyguard because one of my children just died. We got an inheritance. It's some family stuff going on, but I'm scared of my ex-husband because he feels that he deserves the inheritance and this and that, and it's like a family feud going on. I was like, where do you live, ma'am? And she was like, I live at this area, and I'm trying to look it up on the map. We always do the aerial, especially when somebody's asking to do a house. And I'm thinking, what she's saying, it was in Michigan, and she was talking I don't care what it costs. I'm ready to spend everything. And then I looked at the home, and it was in a trailer. And I said, ma'am, is there a trailer park next to your home? She was like, no. We're in the trailer park. I got the big double wide up front, and I was like, oh, okay. And again, you know, anybody can afford bodyguard service, but she was talking about protecting the house like it was some type of castle, and maybe it might be in her eyes. And
That's her castle.
that's her castle. And I sent the quote. I sent the quote. Maybe she's gonna call back, but it is, you get different jobs in that realm of bodyguarding. Everybody thinks, like, when you see bodyguarding, you see guys with huge arms and they walking with machine guns and they're walking with rappers and they got Pooh Shiesty mask on. All of that shit will get you put in jail. You know, could you imagine like a tech CEO like Mark Wahlberg walking with a guy with a Pooh Shiesty mask on and a vest on, sweating profusely? Like, you're gonna look crazy. So it's different levels of professional protection. On any level, you want somebody that knows how to use these, right? You want somebody that knows how to handle themselves. And I can't think of the last time I seen a bodyguard actually have to defend somebody. I've seen a few bodyguards get knocked out, but like that's probably why, because you know they're getting paid to be swole. They're not getting paid to like really go hands on with anybody. And I think that that's part of the misconception with bodyguard service in a whole. People think that, you know, you need these huge guys and these huge guys are going to slap everybody. A, is a liability. B, is dangerous, because if they're bigger and stronger than everybody, what people are going to do? They see you coming. They're going to shoot them. Yeah. And then they're going to shoot you for hiring them. So you have to, I guess, kind of play that field. A lot of people don't know what they want when they order bodyguard service. So
what should the person look for when they're hiring a bodyguard?
You're looking for somebody that's responsible, somebody that's discreet, somebody that's there and understands the job. Like first thing first, if you're talking to a person and they either have to record you to listen to simple directions or they're on their phone typing the whole time, that person's not going to be a good fit for going with the flow. That's more of a person you got to give exact coordinates to, and you go stand over there and go do this, versus somebody, hey, we're about to go get some coffee.
So what's the benefit of having a bodyguard then?
I mean, it's protection. It's if you're busy, if you're an executive, if you're Joe Schmo and you choose to want to hire a bodyguard, you're hiring it for your own personal protection. That's exactly what it is. It's an extra person to guard your body. Maybe you might not see people following you 10 car lengths back. Maybe you might not see that you're walking into an event, you have jewelry on, and people are looking like they want to rob you. But that's what the bodyguard's there for, especially when they're armed.
So what do you tell people, like, so we had a call today where a guy wanted the bodyguard to obviously guard him, but he wanted the guard to drive him around as well. So what do you tell people that want a bodyguard, but they also want the bodyguard to be the driver?
Well, the way I was taught and the way we did it in dignitary protection and law enforcement, then it transitioned on to doing stuff after working at clubs and meeting clients. Drivers drive, bodyguards protect. So you're going to need two. Like I hear people all the time like, no, we want the guy to drive us around. Well, how effective is he going to be if you want him to protect your life, but he got to go park the car and then come back in the restaurant once he's done parking the car? That looks unprofessional, A. And if you're going to restaurants that don't have valet, it could actually get you hurt. There's a time when your protection detail is not going to be around you. Like we've been on the news quite a few times. We were on there with the young lady, what's her name? She had a big thing going on with all these law enforcement officers in Oakland, California, had her, and they were passing her around with some type of sex scandal. And then they brought her down here, and she was released from jail. Somehow she got down here in the jail, and we went and picked her up with her attorney. They hired us to do the bodyguard detail, and we were on that. We made national news doing that bodyguard detail. We were also bodyguards for a case down here where a gentleman got hit and killed, and the family of the person who did the driving was threatening the sisters that were left over. Their brother died. And so we got to see a lot of interesting things on both sides. It's not always people of notoriety like you think. The longest bodyguard detail I've ever done was with a toy maker. I never heard of him. He was staying in the top floor in a penthouse in the Ritz-Carlton, though. And, his life, what he did with us there, I think our bill was, a couple $100,000 for 30 days. And he probably spent easily 40, 50 grand on just food ordering for the detail that was there. Like he was buying unbelievable stuff. So you don't know who you're going to protect. You don't know what they're going to ask you to do. The biggest thing, like I said, you want to be discreet. You want to be able to listen. You can't lead yourself into temptation. There were guys back in the day that would have bodyguards, and because they got money, they would make their bodyguard come slap you in front of your girl just to prove how tough they are. And there's some big guys out there. Like me and you aren't that big in stature, so like we know when we see super big guys, it's like, man, you know, these guys are huge, 6 foot, 7 foot, 300 pounds, all muscle. Like, okay, yeah, they're big. But at the same time, how effective is that the first time they go out and do a bodyguard detail, they slap somebody and then they're going to go to jail. Like, it might seem cool at the moment, but you got to also understand when to tell a client no.
Or they slap somebody that's an MMA fighter.
And get taken apart. You remember when Justin Bieber got arrested down here in Miami?
Yeah.
His bodyguards were trying to tell him to shut the hell up. He didn't listen. And so, you know, he ended up mouthing his way. And I remember the officers that arrested him came to live that night, and they were talking about it. They were like, man, we just arrested Justin Bieber. And all they was high-fiving. And at the time, it was funny. But, like, you think about what that means is, like, you had a bodyguard detail, but they were ineffective mainly because they were unable to keep you calm. He was in there talking about, you don't know who I am? You don't know who I am? We know who you are.
So, speaking of, when is it a situation where a bodyguard and a client aren't a good fit?
When the bodyguard is used to sit down details and the client wants to get up and move around, if they're going out somewhere and you got a person that's not used to movement, then that's not a good fit. You got to be able to articulate to your bodyguard or to your potential protection detail what you're going to do when you're going into whatever said event. Hey, I'm going in here. I'm going to be moving around. I'm going to go bar hop. I'm going to go table to table. I know a lot of people. I'm going to shake a lot of hands. I just want you to move with me. Help me cut the crowd. You got guys that get pushed around no matter what size they are. They get pushed around in the crowd themselves.
Okay, so how do you handle the balance between a client that is not used to being told no or being told what they should do or how they should do it, and then your job being to protect this person if they're going into a situation that would be, you know, not good for them, potentially dangerous?
Well, I've seen in some cases, I've seen Kodak's black bodyguard detail. And I seen them probably tell him to go, and he didn't listen. And I seen them snatch him and tell him to go because they're trying to protect your life. There's somebody that may be about to shoot, and you're standing in the line of fire. I'm going to grab you. So at the beginning of the detail, every detail I ever did, even dignitary details, like, hey, we're here for your protection. Please listen to whatever we say. Trust us. Let us do our job. We're not trying to get in a piston contact test with you, and we're never going to try to disrespect you and try to tell you what to do in front of other people. We're going to try to move as discreet as possible, but you got some people that have a serious Napoleon complex. There's guys that I've done bodyguard details for that were way taller than me, NBA players. But you go out there and do the detail. They brought you there for a certain reason. You go do your thing, and then you go home. But when you have people that are too forcive, I seen Travis Scott, of all people, grab us. He was talking to, I think he was in Paris. He talked to the security guard like this. He pushed his neck, and the guy just like stumbled and kept walking. I was like,
hold on. He grabbed his bodyguard?
He grabbed it was some guy he had on their body. He was saying something to him, and looked like he said go, and he pushed him by the back of the neck. And the guy like tripped up and then kept walking. He looked around. You could tell he pissed him off, but he looked around and kept moving because he's with Travis Scott, and Travis Scott's a big act, and it is what it is. But like, you're not paying me enough to get jerked around. Like we did 50 Cent down here. That was super cool. 50, a total gentleman. He was cool. He out here talking. He had one guy with him that was, get a little jumpy. He was like, man, don't talk to them like that. You know what I'm saying? Like a real dude. And he wasn't trying to get involved in all that animosity and any type of arguing and fussing and fighting. But you got people that do. You got people that fan base that does. Think about NBA YoungBoy came down here to Sunny Isles and got into a shootout in the parking lot out here. If you're a bodyguard, you're going to be involved. We did Jocelyn Hernandez, the one with the Jocelyn's Cabaret. We did her on several occasions. Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like, you name it, it's a lot of people we done moved with, but it's not about trying to. Another thing you want to avoid from a client standpoint, you don't want the super socks. You don't want the guy that's like, because he's big, he's trying to be seen by everybody, trying to make a scene. Like, that could get you hurt as well because you're drawing extra attention to yourself. And, you know, I know guys. So if me, you, and 10 of our boys are together, it don't matter how big they are. If they need to take a whooping, they're going to take a whooping. And your one little bodyguard is not going to stop that. And so you have to keep that in mind when you're dealing with people. You don't know exactly who it is you're dealing with. It's best to just move in your bubble, the security or the protection detail, bodyguard. If you're at dinner, they're standing there watching. They're not to be noticed, really seen. You step to them, hey, could you walk me and my wife to the bathroom, whatever the case, they walk you to the bathroom, come back. It's not about trying to be super aggressive, slapping people and doing all the things that create liability.
Well, any other tips you have for people looking to hire a bodyguard? What if someone's never hired a bodyguard? How should they go about it if they want to hire one for the first time?
I'll give you a brief scenario when you call us. The first question we're going to ask you is your name, of course. But the second question is, why do you feel like you need security? We get all kind of rationales, and we understand all kind of rationale. Hey, this person threatened me, pulled a gun on me yesterday. The police are looking for him. We can't find him. I want to go to sleep at night. I need somebody outside of my house.
So at what point do you tell a client, or do you refuse a client service? Hey, I want a bodyguard. Why? I like to go out and I like to pick fights, and I need somebody to get
the
my
guy
back.
that called us a couple of years ago, we actually sent guards out. He said he was on a hit list from the cartel, and he said that the cartel was coming to his house in Orlando to come do something to him. And we had like 5 guys out there, and then he was calling like scared because something happened in the house. We got 5 guys, like guys parked down the block, you know. We set it up like it was like we're trying to protect somebody's life. And he paid the money, and then come to find out he was like a trust fund child, and he had like a condition, and he was hearing voices in his head. None of this stuff was true. So, you know, we came ready for battle or whatever may happen. But fortunately, nothing happened. And we bought out, you know, all the stops, but at the same time, you don't want somebody that's involved in something. Is the juice worth the squeeze?
How did you find out he was mentally unstable?
We spoke with after the first 2 days, like he wanted to go move around in all these weird places. He had money, so he was spending money like it was running out of style or something. And then all of a sudden, his aunt came by, and when she went inside, the guys we had there wanted to speak. They wanted to speak to the boss. Called me. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And so I came over there and met her, and we went and got a coffee, and she was like, you know, my nephew is crazy. And this whole story about the cartel and about all these people looking for him is completely made up. He just turned, I think it was 21, he got his inheritance, and they're okay with him spending money. They got him on a certain spend. But like all of this stuff, calling you guys, I've seen guys in the back, you know, with bulletproof vest on. I've seen guys doing push-ups in the backyard. It's not needed. He might need one guy to drive around with because he's nuts. But other than that, nothing else is gonna happen. So you don't know who you're dealing with on the phone. And you also don't know what people are calling you into. You could be like, hey man, I need some guys over here. What happened? Oh, you know, somebody said something and I just want to go to sleep. And somebody says something like, I'm going to come and drive by your house and shoot up your house. And then you got El Bodyguard Supreme standing out front and get shot to pieces. Like, you need to know what you're walking into. So you got to be cognizant of all of that. I don't know if you've seen, earlier this morning, there was a drive-by right down here in West Lauderdale. So, like, you think about these things. Like, I didn't even think people still did drive-bys. But imagine if you know some people come over your house to do a drive-by, you call security, and they come out there for $20.
I just want a guard. Why? Yeah,
I just had a weird feeling. You know, you got to articulate everything. That's the last tip.
That's why I'm saying, like, is there ever a point where you would refuse service to a client because they're not forthcoming with information?
It's all in the bottom of the estimate form. It says that if you hide any material facts that put me or my staff in any type of trouble or liable situation where we're forced to protect ourselves and defend ourselves, then if these things weren't disclosed up front and we find out maybe the first hour, we have the right to charge you the entire invoice because you just put us on a platter. We don't know what we're walking into. Right. Tell us the truth. So if you're dealing with any type of security guard services or executive protection, bodyguards, tell them exactly why you need a bodyguard. Oh, man, you know, I got drunk at this place last week and I peed in this guy's drink and he's going to be there tonight. Tell us, because the minute you don't and something happens, hey, that's that guy. And then, you know, you try to hide behind the guard. So
Did you eat your beets tonight?
you got to be serious.
So what about, because we also get calls where someone's traveling abroad and they want an armed guard to go with them to whatever country they're going to. So clearly we can't take weapons into another country.
Nah.
So, you know, as a bodyguard, do you travel abroad? Will you travel abroad? And then what's to be expected from the client as to what they need to provide for traveling abroad?
So there's two ways to do the whole travel abroad armed. A, you bring a guy from over here and you hire a local asset to be a guard or to be a guide and have them armed. But trying to have your guys fly with arms, like people with private jets do it all the time. The issue is they can have issues coming through the FBO or the private airport. Sometimes they check the planes. You don't want to get into that. Plus, God forbid something do happen, like you're in a foreign country with a firearm. It's not going to be worth it. You don't know what their rules are. Like in some countries you go into, you shoot and kill somebody, they're going to cut your hands off. They'll publicly hang you. And there's nothing you can do to avoid that. Being American ain't going to help you. So keep that in mind. Like you also have to understand like what you're going into. And people call us all the time, I need an armed bodyguard with a big gun.
BNBG.
You know, I need to, okay, what happened? Oh, well, you know, this person ran me off the road and they rode past and I think they know where I live. Okay, well, we can put an unarmed guard over there because the armed guard brings a certain level of liability. Think about this morning also, 7-Eleven. There was a person inside the 7-Eleven, robbing the 7-Eleven, came in with a ski mask, armed. Good Samaritan sees him. From the details we got, the guy turns with the cash register, runs out, success, just robbed. All of a sudden, now you got Commando Joe or Clint Eastwood, shoots the guy in the back running out.
John Wick,
shoot him down. Second guy sees him, the getaway driver, tries to drive over this guy shooting people. Shoot him, Swiss cheeses him, and the car rolls to a stop. That guy died. That all happened today. We're talking about South Florida in 24 hours, so that all happened right down here, no problem, right? Couple of streets away from here. You look at that and it's like there's heroes everywhere. The guy that did the shooting, his life is never going to be the same. Yeah, he's a big hero, but people are going to try to sue him civilly. He has to live with the fact that he killed somebody, regardless of them robbing. They were trying to get away. Will he go through criminal charges for shooting at a fleeing felon? What does the stand your ground law apply? Like, there's a lot of stuff now he has to think about, and he probably just went into 7-Eleven. And not to say anything wrong about 7-Eleven, but most people that shop at 7-Eleven at 8 o'clock in the afternoon are either just stopping there to get gas
or get an energy drink.
They don't want to get into a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. And now he just kind of signed himself up for it. So, you know, you got to kind of understand what it is to be a hero and what it is to be wanting to step up and be so proactive. I tell our guys and what we converse about is the gun is the absolute last line of defense. Pretend that the gun's made out of plastic and you got to try to figure it out some other way. But if the scary monster comes and wants to hurt people or hurt you, you got to do what you got to do. We can never tell you when to shoot. But that's something to consider when you bring around guards. Like what the people said in that newscast was like, bullets don't have a name on them. So even though he shot the bad guy, he bust a lot of rounds. He looked like he dumped a clip out there.
Could have went anywhere.
He could have went anywhere. Could have hit somebody, hit a child.
Yeah.
So you have to consider that when you're hiring an armed bodyguard. Like, yeah, they might see something that in their mind, yeah, this is something I need to shoot over.
Yeah.
And then shoot and hit somebody, you'll never live that down. So you have to keep that in mind when you bring out guns. I try to advise people away from, and we sell guns. We own a gun store. But I try to advise people away from hiring armed security unless the reason is really serious. And then, you know, it comes with a price tag. And then people don't want to pay that. They want to pay somebody nickels and expect, you know, John Wick. Not going to happen.
Well, that's it for us here. You can reach us online at www.fastguardservice.com or by phone at 844-254-8273. If you need bodyguard service, give us a call. We'll give you a consultation and see if we can meet your needs. We hope to hear from you soon. Thank you, and have a great night.
You guys have a nice one. Man, I just noticed you had a little pin right there, man. I thought you had a shirt, man.